TG Geeks, episode 337, August the Tooth, 2021.
The tooth. The tooth. Remember the tooth.
Who is the doctor? Hello and welcome to another webcast. Can I talk today? To another webcast from tggeeks.com.
It's time to return those rented lips.
Exactly, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks,
like, okay, the
enunciate
Two Gay Geeks.
Every word. I'm Stephen Hawking.
I wasn't going to go there.
We talk about all aspects of Geek-dom and Nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre. You name it, we talk about it. And I'm Keith Lane. We're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely... It's been raining a lot in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes, and I'm Ben Raggington coming to you from a wet and humid... Ugh. I mean, I like the rain here in Phoenix, Arizona. I like it when it rains, but the day after. Well, no, it's not that I'm over it. Although of course it's impossible to keep a car clean. No, what bugs me is that once the storm kind of goes away, and then we have those moments of clear weather, and then the air is so saturated with water that it's just miserable to go outside.
Yes.
So it then becomes humid and ugly here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Exactly. Let's get on with this.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
I just want to say, what was it we were listening to or watching the other day that had somebody that was talking like a Stephen Hawking recorder?
Oh my goodness!
Oh gosh, I don't know. It was like, oh, this is frightening. It was supposed to be an actual.
Oh, were we watching that theme park attraction ride on Disney Plus?
Yeah, and then there was somebody that was anyway. This episode, we are going to talk about something that both of us are very passionate about, and
but are we ever?
and that also is kind of an instrumental part of our.
How we got together.
Coming together, yes. We're going to talk about classic Doctor Who and several things about that. And we're going to have our birthday shout-outs, our featured podcast of the week, and then we have some feedback and our regular shout-outs in the second segment. We're going to give you our initial impressions of the new series on Disney Plus, Monsters at Work. And then we'll have our wacky weekly recap and the regular shout-outs. And we'll go about our business. How about that? Sound good to you?
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about? I don't know. Doctor Who?
Cute. Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. Doctor Who. My introduction to classic Doctor Who was 1975, and The Mind of Evil. The introduction of K9, and I had to be
that's the Invisible Enemy.
Invisible Enemy. Sorry about that. Not
Mind of Evil is introduction of Leela.
Awful thing.
I think.
Yes.
No, that's Face of Evil.
Face of Evil. Invisible Enemy. Sorry about that. And it had to be explained to me. I was over,
and that happened to be one of the worst Doctor Who episodes that Tom Baker ever did. It's pretty bad.
I actually was fascinated by it because it was my introduction to that. It was at Kit Hester's house, and Bill Hensley was there, Steve Green was there, and Kit's brother, and we were watching Doctor Who on this small TV in one of the bedrooms.
Was it serialized at the time, or were you
Yes.
saying, oh my God, so you only saw one part?
No. I think we got the whole thing.
Oh, I would hope so.
It was a Saturday night. It was on PBS, obviously.
Okay, if it was Saturday night, yeah, you were catching the entire bit probably.
And so it was... distributed by Lionheart. Of course, you can hear that music if you were a classic Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah.
In the 70s and the 80s, you expect to hear that at the end of a Doctor Who episode.
They were the American distributor for all British programming at the time.
Exactly. So that was my introduction to Doctor Who.
So your impressions, though.
I thought it was fascinating, and then I became a devotee, shall we say, of Doctor Who. And when they began to serialize it every night,
oh my goodness,
oh my God, I was obsessed in the 80s.
Oh God, so
obsessed.
Was I. Yes.
In fact, I was over at some friend's house, and I said, either I have to be gone by 10, or you have to let me watch this episode, because it's a pivotal episode. And it was actually, the John Pertwee.
Yeah, we were getting to that era.
At that time.
Lionheart, at the time, had only been able to, for the longest time in the very early, very, very, very early 80s, they could only get their hands on the Tom Baker series and some of the Peter Davison, but mostly just the Tom Baker. And everybody was complaining, and we would love to get our hands on that, on the earlier stuff, but it was all a question about money.
Right.
Can we actually afford it? Because PBS stations had to reach out to Lionheart, and PBS stations had limited funds, etc. But I remember when they got their hands on the entire, early catalog, and I think Whovian fans just squeaked with delight all over the nation.
Yeah, it was interesting because we were playing cards, and they pulled a TV into the card room where we were. It was a little breakfast nook, and we were around the table. They pulled a TV on a cart in there, and I got to watch my episode of Doctor Who. So.
I remember my intro,
and they thought I was crazy.
Yeah. Now my intro's sort of a tricky one, because actually my first exposure to Doctor Who were the Peter Cushing films.
Oh wow.
So I remember watching that thinking, this is the weirdest show I've ever seen. There was I was over at my best friend's house, Bill Dara, and it was a Saturday, late Saturday afternoon, and there was just a lot of chaos going on. So I had a hard time paying attention to it. And it just, a lot of it was kind of like zipping over my head. I couldn't catch all the details.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just one of the weirdest things imaginable. But what more caught my interest wasn't necessarily that show. It was reading all these articles in Starlog magazine.
Oh, interesting.
Because Bill was a subscriber at the time to Starlog, and every time he got a new issue, I was over at his house and reading it, because heaven forbid I should get a subscription to Starlog. At that age, my parents would never allow it.
Yeah.
Because science fiction's not real. It's not a legitimate genre.
Well, unless it was Arthur C. Clarke.
Klingon opera. That's exactly what I was going to say. Unless it's Arthur C. Clarke, my parents would not let me read science fiction, which is terrible because there's so many wonderful sci-fi authors out there. Anyway, so I would go to Bill's house, and I would always read the latest issue of Starlog, and there was always something about Doctor Who, because it was very much in production. Tom Baker was the doctor in England at the time. And even there in the UK, he was like the most popular doctor at the time.
Right.
Everybody was just loving him and loving his adventures.
He was the longest running doctor. So.
And I started reading about his exploits at the time Romana the First was there, Mary Tam.
Right.
And I found these stories very interesting. And I was actually, interestingly enough, mostly captivated by K9.
Yeah,
I love the idea of this robotic dog for some reason.
Well, and that was my because Invisible Enemy was the introduction of K9,
right?
And so that was kind of something that drew my attention as well. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that we have more pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah, and
our puzzle.
Yeah, our puzzle. And then Doctor Who finally came to PBS, our local PBS. It was KQED Channel 9 from San Francisco. And they only got Doctor Who. You're going to love this. Now, it started with Tom Baker, with Tom Baker's very, very first episode, Robot.
iRobot.
No, not. And although there were some Asimov concepts in the episode,
exactly, yes.
So they could have called it iRobot, and it might have worked. No, but this
iRobot who?
Yeah, more like iRobot King Kong.
Exactly,
because it also had a King Kong kind of metaphor going along with it. But I remember watching it, and it opens with the regeneration,
right,
of John Pertwee into Tom Baker, and immediately I'm totally messed up.
What?
Because I had no concept of the Doctor regenerating at this point. Right. I knew nothing of his earlier incarnations. I didn't know about the 3 Doctors prior to him. I didn't discover those until later. And so I'm watching Robot, and here's the most painful aspect of it all. It was only once a week.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So I'm watching it the same way as the people in, our good friends across the pond are watching it.
Right.
Only watching it once a week. And that was murder.
Oh, yeah.
It drove me nuts.
One episode at a time. Or
one part of an episode, part 1, part 2, part 3. And so I got 20 plus some odd minutes of an episode once a week. And it kind of drove me a little mad, wondering what's going on. Now, Bill was extremely excited about it, so I stuck it out because turns out he had seen some Troughton episodes.
Oh, wow.
That somehow managed to find their way to broadcast television in here in the States. How he managed to see those, I'll never know. Yeah, I'd like to know what the episode was or what those episodes were. But I stuck it out because I kept reading about Who, and there was Bill's excitement. So I thought, okay, there's got to be something to this.
Right.
And then we finished off Robot, and then we got to Ark in Space, which was the next full episode.
Right.
And stuck it out again. Okay, great episode set in space. Nice. I mean, it's BBC. I had already understood cheap production values. I'm kind of there with it. That's fine. But I found my fandom beginning to really kick into gear by then because we were now 6 weeks into Doctor Who. We had finished episode 4 of Ark in Space, and then they advertised that next week we will give you episodes 5 and 6. And I remember,
God.
Bill and I were like, we were so excited. We're getting 2 Doctor Who episodes in 1 week. I know. That's how ridiculous we were. And then we kept continuing to follow Doctor Who, and then sometime around 84, no, later than that, maybe 84, 85, around there. No, I take that back. 86, I think. I'm not sure, but I think I want to say it's sometime in the mid 80s. I can't remember the year, but that's when we learned that Lionheart and the San Jose chapter of public broadcasting, they had managed to get all of it. So what they were going to do is on Monday through Friday, they would show a part of a Doctor Who episode.
Right.
So we were getting one once a night. Cool. And on Saturday nights, they would show a complete episode. But then Channel 9 was doing the same thing. They were also showing a complete episode, but they took it one step further. They edited the episodes together so that they were seamless, like you were watching a Doctor Who movie.
Yeah, we got Monday through Friday, we got a singular episode, and then on Saturdays, this was in 84, 85, we got a full episode, and I think it was a different Doctor. I think they'd moved.
Yes.
They did. John Pertwee was the middle of the week, and then on Saturdays, I think they may have moved into Peter Davison.
Well, they were showing it,
still Tom Baker. I don't recall exactly.
Yeah, they did the same thing with us. How it was almost like you were working in 2 different time streams.
Yeah,
they started off with Hartnell. In both cases,
yeah, we never got Hartnell or Troughton. So
we
man,
just got
what a
Pertwee
shame. And then on.
I Yeah, I watched them all. Well, as you know, I recorded them all on video because I made a big deal about that when we met.
Yes. I have almost every episode
I have
on
almost every episode on videotape.
Oh, my God.
I know. And the only reason I can say I have almost every episode on videotape is because there were still missing episodes.
Yes.
I mean, I'm talking like Celestial Toymaker. I mean, episodes that were missing from the BBC library. Those are the only ones I didn't have. Every other broadcastable episode I have and still have on videotape.
Yep.
So, they started off in both cases, like on a Saturday, they would show, say, all of the very first Hartnell adventure. And then on Monday, they started with what would be the Daleks. And then did that serialized, but then because they already had done the Daleks or airing the Daleks on the nightly, when it came to the Saturday night, they skipped it and jumped to what would have been the full episode 3. So there was a lot of hopscotching, frog leaping,
hip skitching,
hip skitching. A lot of frog leaping is basically what happened. So by the time we got to John Pertwee. In the middle of the week.
They're just playing leapfrog.
Yeah, they're playing. It looks like boys playing leapfrog. That's what it looks like on my plate.
Don't you have a girl?
Don't you have a girl on your plate? No. Oh, yes, I'm sure you do. Well, have some soup. Inside joke, people. Watch the birdcage. But what would end up happening is by the time we got to like the middle of Pertwee, Monday through Friday, on Saturdays, we were still with Patrick Troughton.
Oh, wow.
So that's how far off the sequencing got. So it was like 2 different time streams. But if you were a Whovian in the Bay Area or any place that had, like you did in Oklahoma, I mean, it was like, it was a renaissance for us of sorts.
And then I think, was it when Colin Baker took over after Peter Davison, there was a comic book store had a special preview of the first episode that they did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Of the first of the Twin Dilemma?
Yeah.
Far out.
And so it was interesting. Interesting time in Oklahoma for Doctor Who, and then the rest is history. So.
Yeah, and because Doctor Who had, we have Lionheart again to thank for that, because they had managed to find a way to just blast Doctor Who all over the States. Doctor Who became more popular in the United States than it was in England.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not putting down the popularity of Who,
right?
But I think maybe in England it's possible that Doctor Who just became, it's like their Star Trek or like our Star Trek. It's like, it's just there,
right?
But for us it was all new.
Exactly.
So we were just devouring it like mad, and we had Whovian conventions of all sorts. And I remember there was a big Doctor Who festival that Sylvester McCoy came to, and we got to see some Colin Baker episodes that had not aired in the United States yet. And it was just that kind of madness and fever that had taken over,
right.
I would say, the entire country by then.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It was a great time for Doctor Who in the 80s, and
and those episodes still stand up, most of them.
Yeah.
Because why are we still watching them?
Oh my gosh. We still, probably one of our most watched episodes is City of Death. I just love that episode.
I'm mad about that episode. I think it's partly because of Douglas Adams' writing.
Well, that's true. Some of his writing, and we just finished watching the E-Space.
The E-Space trilogy, which is very enjoyable.
Yeah. And
A Full Circle is kind of meh, but the other two parts, State of Decay and The Warrior's Gate, are fab.
And then we've watched into Legopolis, and so we've done a little bit of watching recently.
And I feel like mainlining through Peter Davison now.
I know, and we also on BritBox they have these specials about each Doctor, and we've watched up through
Colin Baker. We haven't watched a Sylvester McCoy yet,
so it's really great. I love classic Doctor Who. We'll talk about New Who at some point.
Yeah,
but this episode really is.
Yeah, it's
classic Who.
Yeah, Doctor Who is always a lovely rabbit hole to go down. the only thing I would say is there are, and I admit, if you are a fan of the later Classic Who, going back to watching the earliest, the Hartnell and the Troughton can be difficult because the pacing is so different.
It is.
It's told practically in real time.
Yep.
And that can be difficult for somebody because I remember when I watched all of the Daleks, which, the entire second story of Doctor Who, and I found it very compelling and very terrifying and very interesting in that we were seeing this told almost like a soap opera, in that it is very much in real time. But if you're used to the tight editing, that can be a very difficult thing to watch. But I would say it's worth looking into because there are some incredibly strong episodes that come out of that time.
Exactly. And some incredibly strong episodes across all of Classic Who. I mean, they stand the test of time.
That's why we keep watching them.
Keep watching them, keep revisiting some. I mean, Stones of Blood is another one.
Oh, I love that one.
And of course, there's Pirate Planet, and the Key to Time series. Of course, Pirate Planet being another Douglas Adams.
The great parrot of Hades.
Yes. I'm going to stab your eye out with the horns of the Naimon or something,
Oh, dear.
Anyway. So, if you have a chance, if you have not watched any of Classic Who, it's
a great time to do it.
It's hard to say,
Well, I would say, it's hard if you're completely stuck with either having to buy discs, that means spending extra money, or trying to catch it on some kind of broadcast television, because that means investing time in trying to set aside time every week or every day. But by having it on BritBox, it is all there.
And what was the cost of BritBox?
Oh,
do you recall just top of your head?
Well, for a year, I think it's like maybe $80 a year.
Yeah, so it's not that expensive, And if you have an opportunity to find Doctor Who in other places, certainly do that. But BritBox is the place they have all the Classic Who episodes,
and it's subtitled for people with old ears.
Exactly,
and for those people who say I can't understand a single thing those funny people are saying,
exactly,
there's subtitles, people.
Yep. So check out Classic Who.
You don't need to hear their identification. They're the Two Gay Geeks. They can go about their business. Move along.
I had no doubt that we would spend 20 minutes plus on that.
Oh, and we didn't even really.
Surface. We didn't really deep geek on Who that much. I mean, we didn't talk about any of the things that we've watched recently. Exactly. We just talked about our, how we found it and how much we love it.
Yeah. And this is our birthday segment. Here are a few selected birthdays for August the 2nd through August the 8th, 2021. August the 2th. I'm always so glad that whenever a 2 comes around, because I can say the 2th.
Well, as far as the 8th goes, you could say August the Infinitieth on its side.
Well, there you go. August the 2th. Joanna Cassidy, actress, mother of David Cassidy.
No, she's not.
What?
It's not a fact.
You mean Joanna Cassidy didn't marry Ted Cassidy and have David Cassidy?
Oh, man, that made my brain hurt. Although I would have been
I had to put that in there because I made that mistake last time.
I would have been so disappointed if you had not gone down that
road. She was Zora in Blade Runner and many other things. She was actually almost Wonder Woman.
She would have been a good Wonder Woman, based on her performance in Blade Runner. Because I thought she was very good in that.
But Linda Carter won out, and Linda Carter was also up for Janeway, as was Joanna Cassidy.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yes, so they both lost on that one.
Now that would have been interesting. I mean, because I remember we mentioned Linda Wagner, but I didn't know about Joanna Cassidy, and I'm thinking Joanna would have been a very good Janeway.
Yeah. So, and then we have Butch Patrick, actor.
Eddie.
Most known as Eddie Munster, was in quite a few things before the Munsters. And is
really?
still somewhat active. I mean, there was a period that he wasn't
well, he kind of went insane.
But
and now he's become like an advocate for child actors.
Yep. And then I thought I saw something or read something somewhere that he was going to be in the Valley sometime soon. Or
here?
Was, or something. Anyway,
I didn't know about that.
And then we have Jack L. Warner. Wagner, yes.
The actor?
Of Wagner Brothers Studios.
Obviously, we're in an alternate universe now.
We are. Jack Warner, one of the 3 Warner Brothers.
Oh, God. Forever it's going to be Wagner Studios, Wagner Brothers Studios. That's all there is to it. Yeah, that's what I'm calling it from now on.
There we go. Leave it to me. I can mess anything up. And then Angus Emery, son of Celia Emery. He's been in several productions, but what is more interesting is he is the voice of Zero in Star Trek Prodigy.
Which we have not watched yet.
Well, it hasn't been released yet.
Exactly.
Exactly. So I thought that was interesting.
Okay, well, now we'll need to watch that.
I just saw his name come across, and I thought, I wonder if he's the son of Celia Emery. And then I looked him up, and
for people who,
there was that trivia. And it was
for people who don't know who Celia Emery is,
she was in Best Exotic Marigold Hotel and several other things. So.
There you go.
And then we have Wes Craven, director, King of Horror, Mr. Nightmare himself.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have actor and director, friend of ours, filmmaker, Ayman Saman.
Who is quite a kooky fellow.
He is.
I mean, you wouldn't get that on, looking at his films, but the man has got just one wicked sense of humor.
He certainly does.
We need to meet him. We need to get up, connect with him next time we're down in L.A. We really do.
Exactly, yep. And Kyle Madsen, a Facebook friend of ours. August the 3rd, Martha Stewart. She writes picture books about gracious living. Martha says that nothing else matters if you can do a nice floral arrangement. I worship her.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Yes.
Actually, that was Sterling.
Yes, from the movie Jeffrey.
Right.
That is Martha Stewart. Tony Bennett, singer. The Standards, old classic Standards, friend of Frank Sinatra, among others.
I could be mistaken, but I think he and Lady Gaga are about to go on tour again.
Oh, cool.
It's a farewell tour for him.
Wow. He's teamed up with a lot of young talent, notably Jackie Evancho from the UK, and they teamed up to do a duet of, I think, When You Wish Upon a Star. The difference in age was 73 years when they did that.
The neat thing about this is that Tony Bennett has managed to keep himself relevant.
Absolutely.
And
he
did it the right way.
Yeah.
By working with incredibly gifted young talent. And I think it was when the
album with Lady Gaga. Oh my God.
Breathtaking.
It is.
It's breathtaking. I think that was probably the best career move he could have made, because Lady Gaga is she's a jewel. I mean, aside from being a tremendously amazing human being, she has got a voice that does not stop.
Yep, exactly. And then Martin Sheen, actor in some incredible films on TV, notably West Wing and Grace and Frankie.
I love him in
others.
both. I love him in both, but I have such new respect for him after watching him in The West Wing.
Absolutely.
But he is a brilliant comedic actor, as evidenced by Grace and Frankie.
Exactly. And a huge political activist. I mean, oh my gosh.
He got himself arrested several times.
Yes. And he's been married since 1961.
God bless the man. I mean, he's somebody that I would just love to meet and have long conversations with.
Exactly. John Landis, director, producer, An American Werewolf in London. He considers his perfect film.
Oh, really?
Yep. And
I would have thought it'd been like Animal House.
And there's a remake announced of.
I did hear that, but I don't know who's doing it.
Yeah. He is.
Oh, is he doing his own remake?
Yes.
Now, that's an interesting thought.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I might be able to get behind that.
And he also did the Blues Brothers.
Now, my question, though, is if he considers An American Werewolf in London to be like, his perfect film, why remake it?
That's a good question. I didn't read up on that, but I did.
I would like to know why, because
there.
I would think as a filmmaker, he would take one look at that and say, no, you can't improve on perfection.
Well, unless he wanted to just update it or do some things that he couldn't have done at that time.
Well, I suppose he didn't want to take the George Lucas cut, and just fix scenes with CGI and such.
And resell it.
Oh, my God.
Again and again and again. How many
copies of Star Wars do I own?
Exactly. 15?
One for every edition of the freaking movie, people.
Exactly. And then we have Dolores Del Rio, actress. She was one of the first Mexican stars in the 20s and 30s to actually acquire international fame, and was considered the female Rudolph Valentino. So the Latin lover.
Okay.
An odd piece of trivia is, you're going to scream at this, later in his life, when asked for an autograph, Vincent Price would sign Dolores Del Rio.
I did know that.
Saying that he made her a promise to keep her name alive.
I did know that, yeah. I thought that was delightful.
It's wonderful. It's so Vincent Price,
It's very
too.
Vincent Price, yeah. He was a quirky bird, but he was a very good, he was a very decent human being.
Yes. August the 4th, Helen Thomas, the grand dame of White House journalists. She had her front row seat right there.
I remember her.
She was on her 89th birthday. President Obama gave her cupcakes and sang happy birthday to her, which also happened to be his birthday.
Oh,
but
nice.
She was...
He didn't make it about him. He made it about her.
About her,
how
exactly.
Totally cool.
Yeah. And she died when she was 91, I think, or something. But
what a career.
Yeah. She'd covered everybody from, I think, Eisenhower.
Yeah, so how far back did she go?
All the way through Obama. Louis Armstrong, a trumpet player, celebrity, Satchmo, exactly. And then we have Bob Tancer. Happy birthday, Bob.
Oh, miss you, Bob. We miss you so much.
And we have Brandon Morales, who's an opera singer, a Facebook friend of ours. August the 5th, Neil Armstrong, astronaut, first man to walk on the moon. I met him in the library at Muskogee.
Yes, you did.
With Bill Hensley. He was there. And I think it was his mother that took us down there to the library.
Far out.
Yeah. And James Gunn, writer, director, Guardians of the Galaxy, got his start at Troma Studios with Lloyd Kaufman. The B movie.
Well, that actually makes sense because James Gunn, in his earlier part of his career, was known for indie horror.
Yep, exactly. And Mark Strong, actor, he's been around for a while.
He seems to be really busy these days.
Kingsman, Shazam, and Cruella.
Yeah, I really like him.
Really great. And Joan Hickson, actress.
Oh, please.
Primarily known to
Miss
us
Marple.
as Miss Marple, and came out of retirement to play Miss Marple at the request of Agatha Christie herself.
Yeah, because Agatha thought this is Miss Marple as I see her.
Exactly. And then we have Facebook friends Sarah Snow Scott and former coworker of mine, Bev Labonte. Happy birthday, Bev. And she used to work in the office in Massachusetts, and there were two people that wrote code for interfaces, and it was Alan and Bev, and everybody always talked about Bev and Alan. And I thought when I first
who's Bevan Allen?
Went to that group, I said, who the hell is Bevan Allen? And then somebody said, it's Bev and Allen. So anyway, just funny little thing. August the 6th, Alexander Fleming, physician and microbiologist, born in 1881, discovered penicillin in 1928.
Yeah, and that changed the world.
Exactly. He died in 1955, so he lived quite a long career, a long life, and discovered several other things, and just a wonderful human being, one of the 10 most important human beings, I think, they on one list for
considering how
penicillin.
Exactly
how it changed the world. And Michelle Yeoh, actress, Crouching Tiger, Discovery. She has 13 projects in some form of production right now.
Good grief.
And fought to the top of Hong Kong action films, where she is known as the Queen of Martial Arts.
Unfortunately, we don't get to see her do a lot of that these days.
No.
I'd like to see more of that from her.
Exactly. And then we have Lucille Ball, actress, producer, savior of Star Trek.
Yeah. Some people call her the mother of Star Trek.
Yes.
Or the godmother. I can see where they come up with that.
Yeah. She was the first woman to own a studio, and that was Desilu, where Star Trek was, created.
It got its birth.
Yep. A macabre bit of trivia. She died on the morning of Carol Burnett's 56th birthday.
Ooh.
And Carol received the flowers that she had sent her that afternoon.
Oh, my
birthday.
God.
Yeah, it was just...
Oh, that's creepy.
It is. August the 7th, Wayne Knight, actor.
Hello, Newman.
Seinfeld, Jurassic Park. He was, what was it, Nedry?
Nedry, yeah.
Yes.
Thanks to him, the dinosaurs got out.
Exactly. And has worn a pair of his trademark glasses since his role in Seinfeld. And then Stan Freberg, voiceover actor. Pete the Puma.
Ah.
3
or 4.
Among others. He was actually the first person to have a credit besides Mel Blanc for voiceover work in the cartoons. And then Facebook friend Jeff Nicholas.
Jeff's an awesome guy. Happy birthday, Jeff.
August the 8th, Roger Penrose, physicist, study of black holes. Worked with Stephen Hawking on the Hawking-Penrose singularity. And among other things, won a Nobel, or shared a Nobel Prize last year for his work on black holes. And then we have Robin Quivers.
Robin Ophelia Quivers.
News person.
From Howard Stern.
Yes. Sidekick of Howard Stern for years.
Yes. Yes.
One of the trivia pieces says, agrees with everything Howard and anybody else on the show says.
That is so not true. She does not.
No.
I have heard her fight with Howard on some issues, quite passionately.
Exactly. And then Michael Urie, actor from Ugly Betty. And we have Facebook friend Kristen Atwell Ford and Facebook friend Kelly Parker. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama Podcast.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counselors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
That was new.
That was new, yes. I needed a sound in there to kind of break things up after that. Been looking for one. Maybe not next time. We'll figure out something better. We could do this. No, not that.
Oh, we already used that. Oh, that's cute. Oh, yeah. Awooga.
Yeah. Well, this is time that we do our public service announcement for Joshua Tree Feeding Program. They're a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV and AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. They offer a place where clients can select from a wide variety of nutritional foods to take home, and they set it up just like a store so that the clients can pick and choose what food they prefer, and it empowers them to take only the food they want so nothing is wasted. They also are getting ready to start a new capital campaign because they need a new van and they would like to have something that's a little bit lower and possibly refrigerated.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you posted on that new capital campaign and where you might be able to contribute to that. And if you have ideas of, something that might be a short step van with that is refrigerated, where they can find one economically, that would be wonderful. Just contact us here at TG Geeks. And if you want to support Joshua Tree, either through a single gift or a monthly recurring gift, you might consider going to jtfp.org, and you can make a contribution there.
And it's time for our feedback, and holy moly, we got a lot of feedback. And each of these news items that generated these feedback comments will be featured in the show notes for this episode number 337 at tggeeks.com, starting with, regarding Hamish Downey has 5 more questions for Shauna Caranci. Got a comment from Hamish Downey who says, I can't wait to watch the film. Shauna Caranci is an independent filmmaker.
Khorasani.
Okay.
Yes.
There. Right. Moving on. Regarding History of Hip Hop, Youth Against Prejudice program, got a comment from the Fizz Popcast radio show. They left this for us on Instagram, and they write, a hip, a hop, a hippie hippie hop. And then they write, I'm down with the young people.
Yay.
Okay. Moving on. Regarding Devette C's movies, Black Widow, MCU Light, but I'll take it. Got a comment from Hamish Downey, who said, this is definitely a huge departure for the director Kate Shortland, who has mostly done indie Australian movies up until now. That said, she did discover Sam Worthington, a.k.a. Mr. Avatar. Moving on. Regarding Hamish Downey's 5... Do you sense a theme going on here, people?
Downey.
Yeah, regarding Hamish Downey's 5 questions with Storm Miguel Flores. Got a comment from Storm Miguel. He left this for us on Twitter, saying, big thanks to Hamish Downey for asking me 5 questions and allowing me to talk about the Whistle film, my music, and give a little tiny teaser about my next project. Shauna Khorasani, did I say that right?
Yes.
Thank you. She replied with, nice article. I'm super excited to hear more about your feature, Storm Miguel. And Hamish Downey finishes that up by saying, all the best for your next project and let us know of any updates. Moving on, regarding TG Geeks episode number 334, got a comment from Arizona Opera saying thanks for the shout out because that was a very opera heavy conversation that you and I had that day. He says, we can't wait to get back to live and theater productions. Also got a comment from Jeff Baker. He says, thanks for the shout out.
It was his birthday.
Moving on, regarding Aaron's Arcade Nuclear Power number 4 review, got a comment from Barbara Dillon of Fanbase Press. She writes, thank you so much for your support. And then we close it off. Regarding Fanbase Press, explores invisible diseases with new superhero in Ripple Effects. I'm very excited about this. And got a comment from Barbara Dillon saying, thank you to the great team at TG Squared Studios for sharing the news about Fanbase Press's upcoming comic book series, Ripple Effects. And that is our feedback.
Yeah, and we actually got to see Barbara
we
and
saw
Brian
them the
and
day,
the girls.
We saw them the day we actually published that article.
Exactly. And if you want to leave a comment on anything that we publish, whether it's our episodes or an article, you can do that on Facebook at tggeeks.com, on Twitter and Instagram, or any other place that you find feedback option. You can also call our listener feedback line.
Please.
And leave us a voicemail, and we'll play that on air.
It's lonely.
It's lonely. You can call 469-TG Geeks. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. And as everybody knows, we are huge supporters of independent creators, whether filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. Please go take a look at their stuff. Take a look at their web pages, their Etsy pages, their Facebook pages, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you might find them. Talk to them, talk to other people about their work, and please support them by buying their stuff. Please support independent creators. And let's see, what else? If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Monsters at Work.
Monsters at Work.
This was a show that I was very excited about when I first heard it announced.
It was.
I remember watching the first episode and thinking, well, this is not Monsters Incorporated.
Definitely not. It had me concerned after the first episode.
I was too. However, we've watched 5 now.
Yeah. And this is just our first initial impressions of the series. They dropped 2 episodes initially. Mm-hmm. The first one was like...
it was an intro, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. It was just there.
It was. The second episode got a little bit better, but then each subsequent episode, I think they finally figured out where they needed to go with it.
Well, I'd be interested to find out what the creative process on that was.
Yeah.
Was someone looking at these episodes at the time they were produced? Because obviously the entire series has got to be done by now.
Right.
So there was no room for audience reaction.
Right.
As these episodes aired on a weekly basis.
Unless they did, they obviously did test groups and whatnot.
Yeah, maybe that was it, because by the time we got into episodes, by the time we got episode 4, it was a huge improvement.
Oh yeah. The comedy was much better. The actual getting to know the characters. I mean, that was tough. That one, and then the 5th one, where you got to know some of the characters that work in this maintenance group.
Right.
And it was it's interesting to see how they fleshed out some of the hidden things in a character's their character flaws, shall we say.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I think with Pixar films, especially the strong ones that came out for a number of years, and even to today. The characters are very well established, very well fleshed out, and I wasn't quite getting that.
They've spent years with the characters.
Yeah, and they've got the time to develop them out so that by the time we're like a third into the film, we can become fully invested in who they are as characters.
Right,
and that's a tough thing to do with Monsters Inc. Or at least Monsters at Work. Now, granted, it's already in a universe we know, but we are now working with completely new characters that we know nothing about.
Yeah. We only see, a few characters, and on a cursory basis, those characters that we've come to know and love from the 2 Monsters Inc. Movies. we have a whole new cast of characters that we've got to kind of get accustomed to and get to know, and they haven't probably spent as much time with these characters as they would have even in the first months of doing a film, a feature film.
Right.
So they're fleshing these characters out as they go.
They gave some good development on episode 5 regarding this one very seedy character named Duncan.
Yeah.
They've done some good development now, and it's gotten to the point where I can watch and now appreciate everything that they're doing, so I can allow myself to become invested in a whole story at this point.
Yeah.
It was rough at first.
Yeah, it certainly was, but I like it. I can't wait to see the next episode. How many are there supposed to be?
I'm not sure. I thought I read somewhere that'd only be 10.
Oh, okay. Well, so we got a few more episodes, and
hopefully,
and then we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it maintains the momentum that they have going now.
Well, one thing they definitely did is they started using more of Mike.
Yeah.
They now have his like a little tag at the very end of every episode. Mike's Comedy School or whatever the heck they call it,
right?
Which I think is kind of cute. It's to kind of get a sense of Mike Wazowski and how he deals with hecklers and
Mike
such.
Wazowski.
Well, the one with
my name. Don't wear it out.
Well, the one that I liked is there was one tag where he's dealing with a heckler in his little stand-up comedy class, and that's funny, given Billy Crystal's background, which just kind of gives it a certain sense of satire, I suppose.
And the whole thing was centered on how to deal with a heckler, and he was being heckled at the same time.
He couldn't deal with it. That was very funny. It's sort of self-referential, rather satirical, and I think that's when some of Pixar's humor really shines at its best.
Exactly.
And it's time for our wacky weekly review. These are the news items that we ran on our website at tggeeks.com, and the links for each of these news items will be in the show notes for this episode article number 337 at tggeeks.com, starting with Sunday, July 25th, Nerdy Chupacabras, number 58. I got it right. On Monday the 26th.
I wasn't going to say anything.
On Monday the 26th, TG Geeks episode number 336. On Tuesday the 27th, the Dinah announces 2021 fall dates as special events and live music make a comeback. On Wednesday the 28th, Andrea's Angle, Stillwater, a thrilling character study. That is the new Matt Damon film, and that movie is getting hot reviews across the board.
Yep.
On Thursday the 29th, Davette sees movies, Jungle Cruise, not quite an e-ticket ride, but still fun. On Friday the 30th, Hamish Downey's new Sushi number 118, morsels of news from Japan and beyond. And we close it off with Saturday the 31st. Yes, Season 3 is here of This Got Made, hosted by Carlton Tetley, Season 3, Episode 1, X-Men issue number 1.
It was hilarious.
Well,
they all are.
All are, but that one kind of took me for a bit of a loop until I realized, okay, I see where they're going with this one.
I see what they're doing.
I see what you're doing. That's very clever.
Yep.
Have some shout outs that we need to make. First two. Well, I guess you could say the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News because it's back.
It's
yes,
back.
Arkle, Brian. Well, no, because it was gone for a week. But Arkle, Brian Weber, he managed to get it back. Now, Brian Weber had a little snafu with his Twitter account, so Arkle, as he's still known as, is now Geek of All Trades. Yes. And that is G33, the number 3, K of All Trades. That's all one word, people. Yes. And if you want to find it, just go to this episode number 337 on our website, tggeeks.com, because we will have this in the article, but you can find it there anyway. So as I said, he's referred to as Geek of All Trades. Boy, am I lost. Referred to as, he calls himself on Twitter, Brian the End List YouTuber.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just there. He also has, I said he's got the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News. Yes, he managed to get that back attached to his new Twitter account. And while you're doing all things Arkle, why don't you just go to YouTube and find Arkle Studios, youtube.com/Arkle Studios. Brian has a number of projects there. He's got his Shameless Cash Grab series now in season 6. And this week, Zombie Shark.
Zombie Shark.
And I'm hearing, strangely enough, really positive things about that. So that might be worth checking into. He also has his Rants vs. Zombie series, which has ended, but you can always listen to past episodes. And he has his Arkle tier ranks, various things, as well as his game videos of Trick and Treat and Star Trek Online. We must also now give some shout-outs to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First to Gay Geeks After Hours for saying, oh, go ahead, share away. Their URL is facebook.com/group/Gay Geeks After Hours, and then to The Gay Geek for pretty much the same. And their URL is facebook.com/group/The Gay Geek. And as always, must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thanks, Jeremiah. And you can find us in other places besides where you found us this time. We can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Amazon Podcasts, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Sci-Fi Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays. Listen to their other content. They are a 24-hour geeky internet sci-fi radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We'll have several links on the page of things that we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS.
A voicemail?
A voicemail, yes.
A voicemail.
Something popped in on as a notification right as I was trying to read that.
So how does a voicemail?
I don't know. It smells pretty bad. You can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And you're going to make us run over 57 minutes now. From TG Geek Square Studios.
You didn't have to say that.
Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. And please be kind to yourself and those around you. Stay safe. Wear a mask. Get vaccinated, please. Peace.
Cheers, Smail.